Welcome back to the channel, guys. After a couple days of trying to open up the axle bolt, broke a couple breaker bar and dremeling it out, tried cutting it, and finally, guess what? Here is the axle bolt that I was having a tough time taking apart. I ended up dremeling it and chiseling it. Heated up. I barely cut into the thread. Just ever so slightly got a little bit of the thread, but that's the best I could do. I did manage to save the axle and the hub, and I didn't destroy that. Removing this axle nut. This is one tough nut. This is how it's supposed to look like. Boy, it took me a couple of hours trying to cut this thing and trying not to damage the hub or the axle itself. Well, after I removed that, everything else was piece of cake. The cross member was bent. The bars were bent. I removed everything down here already. The whole entire hub assembly. And somebody stole my engine. I'm just kidding. The engine's right here. I removed the whole entire engine with the axle in it. A complete engine. I just dropped everything down. The tough part was the frame is bent. You got hit in the rear and that structure got pushed forward and it trapped the engine inside. And the structure of this frame rail along the rear on the driver's side is bent, as you guys can see. That is a big lump. So this frame was not savable, even if you wanted to. I don't know if you guys could tell, but there is a crease in that frame, in that structure right there, right where the front of the turbo sits. Well, that is probably the reason why it twisted my driver's seat and it bent the driver's seat as well. It was very tough and difficult to remove this engine with this bent frame. Regular engine would have been easy to remove, the one that is not involved in an accident. It was pretty tough taking it out. You guys can see the firewall there. Well, my ECU is not damaged. Both hubs are out. It's sitting right behind my wheels. It's right over here. That is the motor, axle. This is the Gen 3 that I have in there. And that's my Cusco strut. I'll be removing the front strut after I install this hub. Along with the cross member, I'm going to do some repair on the cross member. It's slightly bent at a couple tabs, but it's no structural issues there. This is the interior that I stripped, and it's now currently in the 93, as you guys can see. Shifter cable. I'll show you guys hopefully you guys can see it. Come on, there we go, focus. I took the old steering wheel from the other car and put it in here so I could move it around, able to steer it. Next I'm going to remove the shifter and the cable. Then of course I got to piece everything together in the other car. Passenger seat is still good. Driver's seat is bent and it's garbage. I took the couple days ago, it was about to rain here in California, and I took the whole entire window out of the driver's side. I decided to take the whole entire lock assembly, everything on the driver's side, and switch it over to the shell. I replaced the gas lid and all the nuts and bolts that goes with it, because the shell was missing that. Next, the vent is gonna be removed. Well, that's a piece of cake. Well, that's my driver hub. Hopefully you guys can see that. Anyways, this is the damage. Sorry for the bad quality here. It's pretty dark in here. The camera doesn't want to zoom on my iPhone 10 or iPhone X. Yep, it buckled right there. The whole entire thing is just gone. That's where the shock tower goes. It did bend this bar right over here. If you guys work on the MR2, you realize there's a bar that goes in here into the cross member, and from here it holds the hub. It bent that really bad. I'll show you guys that tomorrow. My exhaust hanger was damaged, unable to save that. The body is just toast. This whole entire rear end is crumbled like a Coke can. I'm surprised it took such a big hit, such a major impact, and it saved us. I'm glad we're not in a Honda. If we're in a Honda, we would have been crushed. The engine took some of the, all the mounts and everything saved us. Saved us from the impact. See, the rail on this side, it's all clean. Those rigids, that is made by the manufacturer. Those rigids there, 1 line, 2 line, 3 lines, those are manufactured. They made them that way. This side should have been the same. That is for impact, so it actually absorbed a lot of the impact instead of transferring the impact to the driver and the passenger. It saved our life pretty much. Yep. I got a lot more work to do. I have to strip this fuel tank as well. All these shields are gonna go into the other shell. The fuel tank is gonna have to come down. I gotta replace the fuel pump. As you guys know, the NA and the turbo fuel pump is slightly different. And my intercooler is gonna have to be replaced. Well, the intercooler is still good, but I'm gonna have to change this over to the other shell. Yep, that is the part that gave me a hard time. I did hammer it just so it clears the manifold. There was 2 steps that got crumbled. That top part and the bottom part tend to push forward a little too much, and I had to shove everything forward. It was very difficult removing this engine with the car being so damaged. damage is so bad I can't close my door here. Yeah. This frame is done. This is the motor. I didn't show you guys in detail, but it is dirty. I try not to clean it because I didn't want to get water into the distributor. And I'm unable to drive this car on the road. It's only moving under its own power, very short distance, and it's limited to how far I could drive, maybe up and down the driveway, and that's it. But yes, I'm gonna have to clean a lot of this mess up. All these leaves here, wirings, I gotta clean a lot of these stuff up. All the oil residue. It's been sitting for so long. Yep. Everything is original in this. Well, original Gen 3. As you guys can see, it says it there. Yep, this was the axle that gave me a hard time. I did cut into it slightly, a little bit at the edge right there. You guys could barely tell. It's pretty dark. I'll show you guys the next time when I have it back in the car. But I tested it. I threaded with the other axle nut. Everything was good. It threaded in perfectly fine, smooth. Everything is good. Nothing catches. And yep. This thing is going to be going back into the other car after I clean everything up. It's a lot of work ahead. Alright guys, I guess that is going to be it. I will end the video here with this update, just to give you guys some update on the engine being pulled apart. Like I mentioned, the engine will get pulled apart, and that's the last thing that I'm going to do to this car. And then everything else is going to be going to the 93 show. Alright guys, I'll end the video here. Everybody else that is watching, have a great night.